Hello, everybody. Welcome back to D&D from the D. It's MK
And Ellen.
and we are here. We're continuing on session number 4 with our MK Quilts Education Panel, and more of the panels have been selling recently. So thank you for that. And I hope that if you haven't gotten one, you'll get one or two or whatever, and try to put some of these techniques into practice. So I was reviewing what we've done and what we have left to do, and I wanted to cover some additional border work today. And then I realized we didn't do a few more of the blocks that I did, and a couple of specialty things that I did on a couple of the blocks. So again, just remember in the course, there was a little printout kind of that we numbered up, or that I numbered up a little bit. And so I want to just go and do a few blocks today. I think there's there's 3 or 4 areas. So let's do that. Let's see how far we get. And then if we can still do borders today, great. Otherwise, we'll do one additional time and talk about some borders. So what we are focusing on, if you're looking at your printout, it's what do we want to say? It's a quarter square triangle block, and the block itself is 6 inches. So let me just build it on the screen so that you can kind of see the lines, so that it'll be a little bit easier for you to understand what we're working on and kind of how I approached it. So 6-inch block, modify resize, and we'll go ahead with that. And then area rubber band. And then simple shapes. Let me just mention the simple shapes. If you've never downloaded my simple shapes directory, it's in several spots on the MK Quilts University. And I see that I've got duplicates going here, so I have to clean up my directory a little bit. But you can go and download any of these simple shapes that I use for free. Just grab them off the university site. Most of them are here, there, and everywhere on Pro Stitcher, or you can draw them in Designer. I just put the few basic simple shapes that I use all the time, and there's nothing proprietary about them. So I've just shared them with you. It's square and circles and triangles and, very, very basic, simple shapes. Okay, so to get this oriented, then we'll just rotate this way, and we can do some simple math. So then we know that that's 6 inches tall and 3 inches wide. And we're just making this kind of look like what my block looked like on the screen. Okay. And of course, you guys there's always more than one way to do line drawings. You can certainly draw it out in Designer. You can do something similar to what I just did. You can do it in Designer instead. There's just so many different ways to do line drawings. So whatever makes sense in your head, do it that way. Okay. Okay, so this is just a little representation of this block. Okay, so what I want to reiterate again is that when I was doing this, I was trying to come up with different things, getting you to think outside of the box a little bit. What I created for this block was partially connected design using just 2 triangles. Now, if I had worked at it a little bit more, I could have probably gotten all 4 of them connected, but I settled on, if I turn my jumps back on for you to see, I actually ended up, what I'm going to create for you, I actually ended up with 2 flying geese units that got connected. And then this top triangle and this bottom triangle are not connected. That's why there's a jump in between there. Or maybe they were. There's a line in there of some sort. But the point of it is I worked on it a little bit. I was getting a little frustrated with trying to get all 4 of them connected, in my limited capacity with Designer. So I decided in my world that at least having 2 of them connected, and maybe the other ones, I think maybe it is just 2 starts and 2 stops. So somehow I got the other ones connected with this triangle business. But the point of it is, if I was just doing one block, then okay, I'm going to try to get it as much connected as possible. And we've done so much talk just in this series on this panel about ways to connect things, making sure your start goes to your stop and the like, pushing it to Designer, doing Control T to get it connected. And this was one block. Okay, so I spent a little time, I worked it through. if I had a whole quilt made up of this block, or maybe I had a border that was made up of several of these, okay? That you have to decide in your world where are you going to spend most of your time, and is your quilt square enough to the eye? Can you look at it and say, okay, it looks pretty nicely pieced, it's very flat, it's not quirky, and maybe you can spend the time creating one of these, and then you can use that in the other blocks over the surface of your quilt. Okay, so just always kind of be thinking in those terms of how much work, try to get it connected if you can, how many start and stops are you ending up with ultimately, and then how many blocks do you have, right, to put this into. Okay, so let's see. I do believe I saw earlier I had these designs in here, or not. Yeah, you guys. So the thing that I want to mention is that because of the way that I'm using Designer now, and I think that we've talked about this before, because I'm so much using Designer now to open my workspaces and let those workspaces sit in the background while I'm stitching, lots of times I don't end up with the actual designs in my folder because I don't worry about that anymore because I already know that the design's in a workspace. And if I need to isolate something, I just go to Designer, isolate it real quick, and shoot it over to my Pro Stitcher. Okay, if you didn't understand what I just said there, be a little bit more careful about when you go to find a design that you want to use. Like I'm using 2 triangles here. Neither one of them is individually listed in my folder. Okay, so just be a little bit more careful when you're building, if you're a newbie, to get those designs in your folder. Okay, so I'm just going to search. I'm looking off to the other screen. I'm just going to search. I know that one of them is a geese design. Yep, right here. So let's open that in Pro Stitcher. So this is that design. And then the other one is a triangle. I don't know that that triangle is a point to point. I can't remember. I honestly can't remember. But let's see if I can find it. Hold, please. Ah, there it is. Okay. It's called Little Triangle Motif, and it is from Anne Bright. Okay. So this is what I used for this little block. So if we evaluate what we have a design with a start and a stop at the top and a design with a start and a stop at the side. Okay, so instinctively, I knew that I could get this connected up with that guy. I knew that that would be easy. So since we have our line drawing over, and how about I stop and follow my own recommendation. I'm going to save this back into my folder. I don't know if I'm going to still need it, but if I need it, then it'll be in my folder. So we'll save that one into the folder, and I'll just stop for a minute and save this one into the folder.